Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the fascinating story of a man who started with nothing more than determination and ended up creating one of the most iconic soft drinks in the world. This is the story of Charles Grigg, the poor salesman who built 7UP and set in motion a legacy worth billions. Charles Grigg was born in 1868 in Price's Branch, Missouri. He grew up in a family with little money and few opportunities. As a young man, he did not have access to the kind of education or resources that many successful entrepreneurs had at the time. But what he did have was persistence, a creative mind, and a willingness to take chances. His early years were marked by hardship, and he had to work hard just to get by. In his youth, Charles took on a series of odd jobs. One of his first opportunities came when he moved to St. Louis. The city was growing quickly, full of new businesses and people looking for work. St. Louis would eventually become one of the great centers for the soda industry, but back then, it was simply a place where Charles hoped to find steady employment. He landed jobs in advertising, sales, and small businesses. These jobs didn't pay much, but they gave him a valuable education in how to persuade people and sell products. Working as a salesman gave Charles the chance to study consumer behavior up close. He learned what made people interested in a product, how they reacted to packaging, and how a good pitch could make all the difference. These small lessons added up over the years. Even though he wasn't making big money, he was developing the skill set that would later allow him to create a global brand. At the time, the soft drink industry was just beginning to explode. People were fascinated with flavored sodas, tonics, and drinks that claimed to have health benefits. Pharmacists often created their own recipes, selling them at soda fountains across the country. Coca-Cola and Pepsi were still young companies, and dozens of other inventors were experimenting with their own formulas. Charles began to realize that the beverage industry had enormous potential. In St. Louis, Charles found work at a company called Jones Packing Company. Here, he worked in advertising and sales. The company produced soft drinks, and Charles quickly became fascinated with how these beverages were made and marketed. He was particularly drawn to the creative side of the business. While he was selling drinks, he was also imagining new flavors and branding ideas. He saw that people weren't just buying drinks for taste. They were buying an experience, a feeling, a lifestyle. Charles decided to start experimenting with his own drink formulas. After years of watching the business from the sidelines, he wanted to step in with something of his own. His first attempts were not successful. He tried creating an orange-flavored soft drink called Whistle. The drink had a catchy name, and it showed promise, but Charles eventually lost the rights to it after disagreements with business partners. Losing Whistle was a tough blow. It left him frustrated and almost broke, but Charles didn't give up. Instead of walking away, he decided to try again. This time he came up with another orange drink called Howdy. Once again, he thought he had found the formula for success. Howdy was tasty, colorful, and marketed in a fun way. But despite his efforts, it never took off in the way he had hoped. Competitors like Orange Crush dominated the market, and Charles was once again left searching for a breakthrough. By this point, Charles was not only struggling financially, but he was also under pressure from the repeated failures of his ideas. Most people in his situation would have quit, but Charles had a different mindset. He believed that failure was only part of the process. Every setback taught him something new. Instead of feeling defeated, he treated each failure as a stepping stone. In 1929, Charles came up with a new formula that would change everything. He developed a lemon-lime flavored drink that was crisp, refreshing, and unlike most of the drinks on the market at the time. Originally, he named it Bib Label Lithiated Lemon Lime Soda. The name was complicated and not particularly catchy. But the drink itself was special. It contained lithium citrate, which at the time was believed to have mood-stabilizing properties. The drink was marketed as a kind of uplifting tonic, something that could boost your spirits and refresh you. Fortunately, Charles realized the name was too clunky, so he eventually rebranded it as 7UP. The exact reason for the name has been debated for decades. Some believe the 7 referred to the number of ingredients in the drink, while others thought it represented the lithium's atomic mass. There are even stories that it was simply a catchy, mysterious name designed to stand out. Whatever the reason, 7UP was short, memorable, and perfect for marketing. 7UP hit the market at the exact right time. The United States was entering the Great Depression, and people were looking for small pleasures that could lift their mood without costing much money. A 5-cent bottle of refreshing lemon lime soda was exactly what people needed. Unlike orange sodas, colas, or root beers, 7UP offered a clean, crisp taste that was different from anything else. Charles poured all his energy into promoting the new drink. He used every skill he had learned as a salesman. He designed clever advertisements, emphasized the uplifting qualities of the drink, and created a brand identity that felt fresh and exciting. While other companies focused heavily on health claims, Charles positioned 7UP as a drink for everyone, something that simply made life a little better. Despite being launched during one of the toughest economic times in American history, 7UP quickly began to gain popularity. By the 1940s, it had become one of the best-selling soft drinks in the country. Families loved its refreshing taste, and it was versatile enough to be mixed with other drinks. People used it in cocktails, punches, and even in cooking. The brand became a household name. Charles Laper Grigg had gone from being a poor salesman with no money to the founder of a billion-dollar idea, but his journey wasn't smooth. He had faced years of rejection, business losses, and financial struggles. His story is a powerful reminder that success often comes after failure, and persistence is more important than immediate results. As the years went on, 7UP continued to grow. Even after Charles passed away in 1940, the brand he created kept expanding. The company became part of larger beverage corporations, eventually joining with Dr. Pepper and later becoming part of major global companies. Today, 7UP is sold in more than 100 countries, recognized everywhere as one of the most iconic lemon-lime sodas in history. The financial value of the brand today is staggering. What started as one man's experiment in a small lab grew into a global business worth billions. 7UP's success not only changed Charles Grigg's life, but also left a permanent mark on the beverage industry. It proved that there was room for new ideas, even in a crowded market dominated by giants like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. One of the most inspiring parts of Charles's story is that he never let failure define him. When whistle failed, he tried howdy. When howdy failed, he tried again. And even when people doubted his strange idea for a lemon-lime drink, he kept going. His determination is a lesson for entrepreneurs everywhere. Success isn't about getting it right the first time. It's about staying committed, learning from mistakes, and continuing to innovate. Another remarkable detail is how Charles understood the power of branding. In the early 20th century, most people thought of soda as just flavored sugar water, but Charles saw it as more than that. He knew that the name, the advertising, and the feeling a product gave consumers were just as important as the drink itself. By giving his product a short, catchy name like 7UP, he created a brand identity that could last for generations. The story of 7UP also reflects the American dream. Charles started with almost nothing. He didn't come from a wealthy family. He didn't have investors throwing money at him. He built his dream through creativity, hard work, and perseverance. Even when he failed, he refused to quit, and in the end, he achieved a level of success far greater than he could have imagined. 7UP also played an important role in shaping the beverage industry. It showed that there was room for flavors beyond cola and root beer. It inspired other companies to experiment with new formulas and tastes. Without Charles Grigg's invention, the landscape of soft drinks might have looked very different today. The story also highlights how timing can be crucial in business. Launching 7UP during the Great Depression might have seemed like a terrible idea, but in reality, it was perfect. People wanted something simple, cheap, and refreshing. Charles gave them exactly that. His ability to understand the mood of consumers and deliver what they needed at the right time was a major factor in his success. Even decades later, 7UP has continued to reinvent itself, from the famous Uncola advertising campaign in the 1970s to modern-day marketing strategies. The brand has stayed relevant by adapting to changing times. That adaptability comes from the foundation Charles built. He created a product that was timeless in its simplicity, and that's why it has endured for nearly a century. Charles Laper Grigg passed away before he could fully see the global empire his drink would become. But his legacy lives on in every bottle of 7UP sold today. His journey from poor salesman to beverage pioneer is not just a business story. It's a story of resilience, creativity, and the belief that even the smallest ideas can grow into something extraordinary. So the next time you pick up a bottle of 7UP, remember the man behind it. Remember the years of failure that came before the success. Remember that it was not just about making a drink, but about refusing to give up on a dream. Charles's story is proof that no matter where you start, you can achieve something remarkable if you keep going. And that brings us to the end of today's video. The story of Charles Laper Grigg and 7UP is a reminder that innovation, persistence, and belief in yourself can lead to incredible outcomes. What started as the idea of a poor salesman in Missouri has grown into a billion-dollar brand enjoyed by millions around the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. And as always, stay curious, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next one.